you! Fuck you!
Players are not at the gate. They're not at the gate. They're well inside.
Good evening and welcome to Mr. Matters. I hope you're all surviving out there in clown world.
Love ya!
So there's a few videos that have been going around of some recent protests involving trans activists. This is nothing new. The trans issue is burning red hot at the moment, and we have all seen many examples of the intimidation tactics being used.
I'm not here to talk about my transition. I'm here to kick some ass.
And the outright violence mainly directed towards women who speak out against this gender ideology cult currently taking hold. Now, heated debate is the norm today, but the trans debate is on another level. Video after video, tweet after tweet, we see the level of degenerate thugs wishing death on people they disagree with, sending rape threats and shutting down any and all dissent. So let's enter the world of trans activism, where you can punch women in the face and still be seen as a loving, inclusive community defended by the masses.
And people like J.K. Rowling need to fucking stop, because my people are dying because of her.
Straight out of the gate, just looking at this person puts me in a bad mood.
She is killing us. Oh, but there's one more good thing about this book. J.K. Rowling fucking dies.
J.K. Rowling fucking dies.
Yeah. Gretchen had the nerve to kill off the queen of the TERFs, and it is glorious. I only wish that scene could have been even more brutal.
Even more brutal.
What an unhinged psychopath this creature is. I mean, they are basically masturbating over the thought of someone they disagree with being murdered and wishing it was just that bit more brutal, just more blood and guts, please, so I can fantasize about taking this person out just because I happen to disagree. And then this crazy person, before this unhinged rant, acts like they're the victim and says this.
Trans people just want to fucking live. Why can't people just leave us the fuck alone? Why do we have to live with a constant fear that getting locked might cost us our lives?
Even more brutal.
I mean, this is standard from this mob, always trying to play the victim while projecting this violent, apocalyptic thoughts on anyone that happens to disagree with them. You know, maybe that needs to fucking stop. Did you ever think about that? Maybe not project violence onto the world just because they disagree with you. Maybe engage in debate and stop doing this catastrophizing of every situation. And this wishing death on J.K. Rowling solely comes because they disagree with her statement that biological sex means something. It's not transphobic, you just apparently can't fathom it.
I think that's a good idea, to raise a child who believes this film. To raise a child who doesn't accept trans people. It's 2022, you're disgusting.
Funny that these two fuckknuckles don't think that shouting in a baby's face is disgusting. I mean, who the hell are you to do this? I mean, if this had been my kid, I'd have gone fucking mental. And apparently one of these is an aide to a Labour MP. I mean, I don't know which one, but does it matter? I mean, this is exactly what you'd expect from Labour in the UK. Just a bunch of freaks. Now this one is just so important. The scenes are crazy, a mass crowd trying to descend on Kelly J. Keane and crush her. For those of you who don't know, Kelly J. Keane is a women's rights campaigner from the UK. Here's a little sample of the things she believes and promotes.
What you and your misogynistic allies seek to do is erase what it means to be a woman in law and in life. And that is why this campaign has been absolutely essential. If you didn't push women to the point that we are very, very angry, that we feel we have to protect the language around us by using words like cervix havers, menstruators, cervical cancer, obliterating the word woman, not even using it in campaign material, we wouldn't feel the need to assert the fact that the meaning of woman is only the definition, is only adult human female.
I mean, that's a little sample of what she believes. Crazy, I know, that women want to be called women and not have men in their spaces. But this is an event she put on called Let Women Speak in Auckland, New Zealand, and a mass crowd descends to try and snuff her out. Clearly she's in a huge amount of danger, everyone around her trying to get specifically to her and those around her trying to protect her. Here she is in her own words talking about the event.
I genuinely feared for my life. I thought I was going to be crushed to death or stomped to death. Women got injured, somebody got their foot broken. It was absolutely just carnage.
Yeah, people got injured. Just a minor detail, a male trans activist soccer punched a 70-year-old woman in the face, breaking her skull. I mean, I cannot fathom punching a woman, let alone a 70-year-old woman, square in the face and breaking her skull at a women's rights event. All while trying to descend and crush the organizer of that event because they hate her. She's pure evil in their eyes. She's Satan. This is, or should be, a huge turning point because the fact that a woman can't speak about women's issues without the frenzied mass crowd throwing soup and piss and hitting her with signs. And I mean, if you look at the footage, the activists are elbowing people in the face, pushing, hitting with sides, just trying to get someone. It's just insane, and it cannot stand. We need to restore the free speech of these women and allow them to speak out against these freaks. I'm sorry to keep using that word, but I just can't fathom the sort of person that would go to this event and act in this way. I don't know anyone who could look at this and think that we are not up shit creek. But of course, in keeping with what they normally do, the trans activists at the event and online have been actively celebrating it. So let's have a look at a couple just to piss us off.
I want to see Posey Parker put in her place. I like freedom of speech, but I don't really like hate.
Two things boil my piss about this guy. A literal man telling a woman who just wants to speak about things she thinks are important, he says he wants to put her in her place. That could be from the 1950s or something. It's just fucking ridiculous. And then he has the balls, the actual balls, to say, we believe in free speech. Why celebrating a woman hounded by a mass crowd so she can't speak? Oh, but we believe in freedom of speech, just not hate. You are the hateful ones. How are people this delusional? You are the hateful ones.
Auckland, I cannot thank you enough. You have showed me today that I can be who I am safely in this city. You have showed me that I belong.
No, you've shown Auckland is not safe for women. Women can't speak, and a mass crowd will harass you, try to murder you, injure a lot of women on the way, and then celebrate it.
We don't welcome these sort of people here on our turf at all, and I'm so glad that all of us came together today in solidarity and drove her out.
Aren't we through the fucking looking glass when this little tiny gay guy can act like some bygone era from like the 1950s of like, yeah, drive that woman out, drag her good. Like, just insane. I can't even fathom his thought process of how he thinks this is good. A man shutting down women being able to speak about women issues. Like, just take a breath, think about what you're saying and doing, and reassess your life. So yeah, this event was just a clusterfuck of nonsense from all these trans activists. I mean, in one sense, it's great this happened because it just shows the world the degenerates that are involved in this movement. And you can lie online all you want and say it's a protest and no one got hurt and she's a Nazi, blah, 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 as you normally say. No one's listening. We know what happened. We see the videos. We see you, okay? You have no shame. You should feel tremendous shame for this. There should be public apologies. There should be a reassessment. But you love this shit. So I'm glad Kelly J. Keen's doing this stuff. I'm glad she wasn't injured, and to all those who were injured, I hope you're recovering well. And yeah, this cannot stand. Women should be able to talk about what they want to talk about without fear of violence and intimidation. Obviously.
It's just me. I'm good. I'm good.
This is another recent one where Riley Gaines, a US swimmer, did a talk at San Francisco University and was apparently assaulted and hounded off of campus by trans activists, of course. Just another rabid crowd trying to harass and assault a woman who wants to talk out about how she feels her rights are being infringed with trans women encroaching on women's sports. A total rational argument, and someone that has skin in the game and has directly competed against a trans woman. And what does she get for this? She gets called a transphobic bitch and assaulted and run off campus. And again, this cannot stand. These women have a right to speak and you won't win.
Fuck you!
What's that?
How do you keep your composure? Fuck you! 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 Hey!
Oh, they're not sending their best, are they? This is a perfect example of the psychotic behavior of these trans activists. This is Billboard Chris, a Canadian, I believe this event's in Vancouver, standing peacefully with a sign when this trans woman comes over, screams "fuck you" in his face before dragging him away and assaulting him. Can you imagine if this was reversed and this was a trans activist standing peacefully and a so-called TERF comes, shouts in his face and drags him away and assaults him? Can you imagine the response from the trans activists, from the Owen Jones, from all the liberal lovies in the media? They'd be going mental. But because it was Chris and he's again sterilizing children, not a whimper. They don't give a shit. And apparently this guy's excuse was his hormones were making him mentally unbalanced and he felt under attack. You are the attacker. Again, the hypocrisy. The people who attack pretend they are being attacked. Clearly this gentleman is mentally unstable and shouldn't be doing this and going out into the general public if he feels he can't hear an opinion he disagrees with without trying to assault that person. And I have seen some retarded people try and defend this by, oh, Chris put his hand on him first. Yeah, the guy was shouting "fuck you" in his face. That was the most logical response, to put a tiny hand to push the guy away. So this was again shameful, indefensible, either celebrated or ignored by the trans activists and their allies in the media. Now, as everyone can see, the trans debate is mainly focused around trans women. The reason for this is that trans women are obviously biological men, and being a biological man brings with it some factors that just aren't found in trans men. Men on average are stronger than women, they have a different brain, bone structure, muscles, they're taller, and obviously they have dicks.
Get your hand off my penis!
Thus, thrusting these people into women's spaces creates a huge amount of friction for obvious reasons. The trans activists try to combat this issue by saying that trans women are in fact just women and have the right to these spaces. And instead of listening to women, they bulldoze their way in, even assaulting people who speak out about their concerns. But why do they use violent imagery, language, and physical force? I believe this anger and violence can be traced back to the line, trans women are women.
Oh, wow, this is great! Look at that, I'm pink sitting down like a dainty, dignified little woman.
This lie they tell themselves, "I am a woman," is held up by everyone around them who affirms they are indeed a woman. Laws come in that give them access to women's spaces and to change their birth certificates. When society or any individual pushes back on this and says, no, you're not a woman, you're a biological man, this brings the whole thing crashing down for them. And this results in an irrational and angry response. This person who breaks this delusion is fair game, a bigot, a transphobe, and other human garbage that is worthy of violence. If trans activists just accepted that trans women are indeed that and not actual women, this conflict would never arise. Also, their arguments are so weak they don't even stand up to the tiniest amount of scrutiny. Thus, they don't debate or argue, they lash out, they threaten, they hit, they cause violence. A level of jealousy of actual women is a big part of it as well. Women obviously have what they want to be a woman, so when a woman stands up and says you aren't a woman, they are the targets. The ironic thing about all of this is that our society sees men as more violent and aggressive, more likely to fight or cause fights. So the aggressive response from trans activists reinforces a male stereotype onto them. They constantly self-own. There's multiple reasons why someone might be aggressive or violent within the trans activist community. I think misogyny plays a huge part. I'm sure the hormones and mental illness play a huge part. This obviously doesn't just include trans people. Trans activists can be non-trans people. But what do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think there's other reasons? Leave a comment and let me know. So that's all I've got for you today. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Follow me on all the social medias, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay free.
I don't want to do my...